The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com. Hello and welcome to another live episode of Wrestling with Johners, episode 381. And I've got an excellent guest for a Thursday evening, none other than the current New Wave Wrestling Women's Champion. And I've got to get this intro right. Freak to the core, the Don, the Baddest, Cult Classic Calibre, one of the fastest rising stars in the UK, Lucia Lee. How are you doing, Lucia? Great to have you back on the show.
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me back on. I feel like it's been like a lifetime since the last time we actually spoke, honestly.
It really has. I've seen you at shows and we've chatted at shows, but it's been nearly 5 years since you were last on the show. Now, it really is. Now, I mean, I went on a bit of a hiatus last year and I came back in September. And since September, I've been interviewing returning guests just to kind of, I know these guys, I've worked with them, getting them back on the show, have a little bit of a recap. I don't think I've ever spoke to any of my returning guests kind of stretching back for as long as 5 years ago. So great to have you back on the show. But it does seem like an eternity ago, doesn't it? But it would have been 2020, just after lockdown. And, you would have been maybe 17. Crazy to think. but of course, go on.
I'd have been like 17, just on the cusp of 18, I think, as a little baby. Oh.
You were indeed. But for anybody watching us live at home, firstly, thank you so much for tuning in. You are watching us live on Wrestling with Johners YouTube. So we are fielding questions. If you have any questions, if you have any comments for our guest today, Lucia Lee, then please feel free to get in touch. Just send them through to us using your chosen device. We do our very best to bring them up on screen during the course of this interview. And of course, over the next hour and 15, however long we go, we'll do our best to answer all of your questions and comments. So please get in touch. But just a quick reminder, 2025 has been a busy year for me. And some of the guests I've had already this year, kicking the year off with Kid Lycos 2. And then going into February, Charles Crowley, the spectacular twat, another returning guest, came onto the show 3 years after he was last on the show. A new guest, and maybe somebody that Lucia knows quite well, Liam Jones, came on the show in February, followed by Amir Jordan. And quite recently, we've had Charlie Sterling. Last week, we had the one-man armory Bullet. And maybe somebody that Lucia knows, we had Bevan, the bastard son, on a few weeks ago.
Yes.
But great guy. Loved my conversation with Bevan. But over the next couple of weeks, I'll be very, very busy. Not only am I interviewing Lucia Lee today, next week, I'm hosting the official TNT Barbed Wire pre-show. We are going to be hyping up and talking through all the matches for Ignition, Level Up, and TNT Extreme DOA that will be taking place in a couple of weeks' time. We'll be hyping that up next Monday, the 24th. The following Monday, the 31st, I'll be doing an official podcast for Wrestle Tours and giving you all the kind of tips and lowdown on what to do, how to stay safe, where to eat, public transport, and all the do's and don'ts of Las Vegas when you get over there. And I'll be there as well. So I'll be listening very, very closely to the advice being given by Mad Dog, Lee McAteer, myself. There'll be various other guests that are looking forward to the Wrestle Tours excursion over to Las Vegas. And that's going to be Monday the 31st when we chat about that. 2 days later, we'll have this guy here, Mark Merrow, will be coming onto the show. This will be the 2nd of April to talk about his new book, written and authored by my good friend Ben Veal, and Mark Merrow and Ben will be joining me right here, and that's going to be the 2nd of April. So a couple of busy weeks, but first of all, it's all about this young lady here, the current New Wave Wrestling, the brand new Wave Wrestling Women's Champion, Lucia Lee, and 2025. Let's start straight off the bat. We're only into what? We're halfway through March, and already it's been a pretty bonkers 2025 for you, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I've had a very, very good 2.5 months. It's been really nice. Like it's been all go, and it's been like a lot, but I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very grateful. I'm having the best time of my life, honestly.
Could you have wished for a better 2025? The way it started, I mean, you had a super strong 2023, a mega 2024, but 2025, it's just been crazy and full of highlights already. We're not even 3 months into the year.
No, I know. I think the only thing that I'd change is probably getting injured. Can't seem to hold myself together at the minute, unfortunately. But no, I'm all cleared. I'm all good to go now. Um, but yeah, no, everything that I have done has been incredible. Yeah.
We will get stuck into it. We'll talk about everything that's happened this year and some highlights from the last couple of years to bring us right up to speed. But you know, the last couple of years and especially 2024 going into 2025, you've been busy as well. I'd say you
Yeah.
probably have the busiest calendar you've ever had in your career in 2024 and this year. Do you feel that you're busier than ever?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's so nice. I think last year I had a couple of months off last year for injury when I did my knee. Um, and it gave me like a bit of an insight to what life would be like if I wasn't a wrestler and I was just going out quite a lot and I was seeing my friends and I was doing a lot of non-wrestling things. I was doing commentary quite a lot. And I just realised like, no, I want to be wrestling all the time. I don't want to be out, I don't want to be doing all this. I wanna wrestle, I want to be on shows, I want to be at as many shows as I can do. And luckily I've been able to do that this year. So it's a nice feeling. I've had it kind of both ways and I know where my priorities are definitely.
Did you feel that having them couple of months off, although you was recovering from an injury, did you feel that those couple of months off gave you an appreciation for the business again, and maybe gave you a chance to kind of gather your senses and kind of regain that hunger, that love for the sport? That maybe if you were on the constant grind leading up to that, maybe you'd lost a little bit of that, and that 2 months off enabled you to kind of regain the love or the spark that you had before.
Think that it was more that I got to taste what life would be like if I wasn't super busy and if I wasn't grinding as hard as I am and if I wasn't like on as many shows as I am. And I think that it made me realise that I never wanna go back to that. Like I always want to try and be as busy as possible and I'll take every booking that comes. You know, even when I'm not booked, I'll be at shows. Like usually I'm at Rev Pro contending and stuff. So it really made me think like I know what I want to be doing. I know where my priorities are, and my priority is wrestling. As much as I like seeing my friends and seeing my family and stuff like that, I much prefer the business, so to speak.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. I want to talk about something quite memorable that happened last week, and you'll know what I'm on about as soon as I bring up this picture here. And that was when Pete Dunne was back in the
Oh,
UK, and you had the opportunity over at New Wave West Midlands to attend a training session held by the Bruiserweight himself. And some pictures of Pete Dunne there, giving some expert tuition, some of his many years of wisdom and
yeah.
knowledge, and of course many years in the WWE. And underneath that kind of that machine, that umbrella of the best trainers and talent and producers in the world. And he was able to impart a lot of that knowledge and share a lot of that wisdom with you guys over at New Wave West Midlands. Firstly, what was it like to be in the company of the Bruiserweight last week?
Honestly, it was so cool. Like I would argue that I'm Pete Dunne's biggest fan. Like I am obsessed with that man. He has been my favorite wrestler. Him and Mox are my favorite wrestlers since I was like 14 years old and I first watched WCPW. It was the first place I saw him. Instantly, I was like, "Oh my god, this guy is just so cool." And he was doing the whole like finger snapping stuff, and he was just hitting people dead hard. And I just thought that his look was like so unique, and I just to actually get to listen to him talk, like when you do like seminars and like training sessions with a special guest and stuff, um, a lot of the time like, you will get to do a lot of in ring stuff as well. But I much prefer getting the opportunity to like sit down and really like pick the brains of people. And we had like a whole section at the very end of the session where Pete just sat down and he was like, fire as many questions as you want. And I got to ask him like quite a few questions and he gave me like a lot of insight. Not only to like sort of the workings of how things are in WWE, but where he thinks that we can improve in the British scene as well, as someone that was at the very pinnacle of that. So I think that it was so helpful and I'm so grateful to Flash for sorting that out for us.
And something like that, being in the presence of somebody like Pete Dunne and being able to ask as many questions and watch him work, watch him train, just being in his presence, that must be hugely rewarding and massively motivating as well. You must have felt kind of like motivated and just, rejuvenated after being kind of in that kind of training session.
Yeah, I think that everyone came out of it with like a proper fire lit under them. Like
Mm.
I, I got to speak to him about some stuff that has been on my mind for a while as well. Um, like things that you don't always get to ask people that are just on shows with you. And so seeing someone that's literally toured the world with WWE and even before his time in WWE, it's so helpful to be in my position and getting to just bend Pete's ear for half an hour and just listen to him talk. Like he's such an insightful guy. And oh yeah, it was the best session I've had in such a long time. Like I felt so good coming out of it. And yeah, now I'm really ready to apply it to my wrestling over the next few months.
Indeed. Of course, you're from the West Midlands. Pete's from the West Midlands. Maybe slightly different than the next of the wood. But did your paths ever cross when you were first coming up, and maybe when he was still doing the odd indie or two over here in the UK? Did your paths ever cross, or was this maybe the first time that you really interacted with him?
No, I met Pete once, very, very briefly. I was ringside for NXT UK in Coventry at the Sky Dome when I was 16. Pete, being the absolute diamond that he is, he had a main event. I'm pretty sure it was him and Gunter versus possibly Gallas. I'm not sure.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I'm 90% sure. And then he literally like walked around the entire ring and took pictures with everyone that wanted a picture. And I've got a little picture of me and Pete. I was too scared to ask him, so one of my friends that I'd gone with, she's literally shouting, "Excuse me, Mr. Pete Dunne, can she get a photo with you, please?" And there's one picture that I've got of her literally like screaming at Pete, asking him for a picture with me, and it was oh man, it was so nice. I never thought I'd get to meet him again because obviously he went to America after that, but getting the chance to train with him, oh my god, it was the coolest. Yeah.
Absolutely. And kind of watching a lot of your matches, and certainly watching a lot of your matches in preparation for this, there are kind of a lot of Pete Dunne-isms, shall I say, in maybe your repertoire, certainly the strikes, so some of the mannerisms as well. Has he kind of, you mentioned that you're a big fan of his, has he kind of influenced your wrestling style over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I've always said that I take most of my inspiration from British wrestling. I'm very much a kid that grew up on Brit Wres, and particularly like the 2016, 2017 sort of scene. That was when I really started getting like into British wrestling. And I think that like I don't really steal like moves from Pete per se, but I think that there's a lot of mannerisms I've definitely picked up on because I've just watched so much of his stuff. Like I literally used to like look for illegal progress streams when I was like 14, just so that I could watch Pete Dunne matches, and I'd watch them just on repeat. Like I just think like this guy is so cool, and like he doesn't say too much, and it's not so much like a verbal sort of thing. It's just his demeanor and his aura and the way that he just presents himself. It's just like being a tough bastard, and you just buy
Yeah.
it. You just buy it instantly, and that's what I've always wanted to try and replicate.
There we go. There we go. I did wonder because, obviously, I don't think you use it so much nowadays. But this kind of classic Lucia Lee pose with the fist to the chin, I wondered kind of whether that was a little bit of Pete Dunne influence there as well.
That was straight up me ripping Pete Dunne off. That was me going, "What do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do with my hands. I'll just pretend to be Pete Dunne."
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about, I brought it up at the top of the intro, but this here, Lucia Lee as the brand new wave women's champion. And firstly, congratulations. And
Thank you.
it's maybe a month ago tomorrow that you won the
Yes.
championship. And it's a
Hmm.
beautiful looking championship. You look very, very proud there. And there's another couple of pictures here of you with the championship. And
Ah.
here we go. There we go. So some fond memories there bit of a backstage shot there, and all the champions of New Wave. Everybody boo James Ellis. Everybody boo James Ellis. There we go. But what you've obviously got a close association with New Wave Wrestling, and in particular New Wave West Midlands. But what does it mean to you to be the New Wave Wrestling Women's Champion in 2025?
Honestly, I think that Aluna did so well being the first champion. And so obviously I was in the battle royal to crown the first ever champion, and I was so happy when I found out that it was Aluna that was going to be winning it. Like, I think that one of the really good things about New Wave is none of us are competing against each other in the sense of like, I want her spot. It's very much a case of I want her to do well. So then when I wrestle her, I'm better. And we're all very supportive like that. And that's one of the things that I really love about New Wave, because it's not like that everywhere. And I was so happy for Aluna. She worked so hard, and I think that she did an amazing job as champion. And winning the belt, obviously, she had to vacate, unfortunately. I just want to make sure that this reign is equally as good. I want to make sure that I'm the best that I can possibly be. And New Wave have put a lot of faith in me. Um, and obviously now I want to carry the brand best I can. I want to make sure that it's one of the more prestigious women's titles in the UK. And I know that some people don't particularly like having women's championships, but I always think that any opportunity to highlight women's wrestling is really important, because as much as we'd like to be on the same level as the guys now, unfortunately it isn't always seen that way. So having something that we can, put on our matches and make it, it's a championship bout, it's a title match, it just elevates all of us, and having something to chase and fight for, I think it's great. And I'm very excited to try and hold on to this belt as long as humanly possible.
Absolutely, and you're no stranger. You've held championships before, Lucia, but I get the feeling that being the New Wave Women's Champion, it kind of is something that you're very, very proud of. Do you feel that it's justification for all of your hard work, justification for all the grinds and all the kind of the injuries, and like I say, all of the hard work, the good, the bad, and the smooth of your career so far? Do you think it's justification now that you are champion for all of that hard work?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it like that. I think that it's more that I'm just very, very grateful. Like it's so nice to have people have faith in you and have stock in you, and think, this is someone that I can put on a poster. This is someone that I can put in a marquee match, and I know that she'll deliver. And the belt is just confirmation of that more than anything. It literally says, we have faith in you. You're doing really well. This will elevate you to the next level. And that's the way that I've taken it. And now I've just got to make sure that I live up to the expectation, which I'm more than ready to do, I think. Like I feel I've always felt a little bit out of place in wrestling, particularly like in a lot of the women's locker rooms. I've always felt like a little bit of an outsider, but I think now I'm getting to a point where I feel like I can hang and I can go with the best of them. And I just want to keep improving and keep keep it up more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm probably jumping the gun here because I probably had a similar question lined up to this a bit later on. But do you feel that now that you're the New Wave Women's Champion, and because of your many highlights, certainly through last year and into this year, do you think that that's maybe in other people's eyes, other people's estimations, maybe taken Lucia Lee up to that next level in a lot of people's estimations, and that they are looking at you slightly differently and maybe taking you a lot more seriously than they used to?
I hope so. I hope so. I'm hoping that um, as I improve and as I keep working and as I keep showing that I am putting a lot of effort in, people won't keep seeing me as like just a gobby 18-year-old. Like I'm 23 this year. I've grown up sort of in front of everyone, and I'm hoping that with things like the matches that I've had this year, and obviously the New Wave Women's Championship, I'm hoping that people will see that, and they'll see that a big change has been made, and that I'm working my arse off and I'm really, really trying. I just like I feel like people are definitely taking notice. Like I've had more support over the past 12 months in wrestling than I've ever had in my life. and it's so rewarding. It's so nice. It motivates you. It makes you want to work that much harder, knowing that there's people, some of the best wrestlers in the world, telling me that they believe in me, and that is literally, you know, you can't. It's overwhelming. Like it's so
Yeah.
lovely and it's so kind, and I just think that yeah, I just I wanna keep proving those people right, and anyone that disagrees, I wanna prove them wrong. That's the best way that I can put it.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Love that attitude. Love that saying all day long. A couple of matches I want to talk about in New Wave and sticking with New Wave. Obviously, you only really started wrestling for New Wave about a year ago, and that was a debut against Brendan White. Since then,
Yeah.
you've teamed up with Aluna and taken on the Medusa Complex. You've had a one-on-one with Aluna as well for her championship. But you know
Mhm.
you've certainly not been short of tough competition since you stepped through a New Wave wrestling ring. But I mean, the match I want to focus on, I saw yourself and Luna taking on the Medusa Complex, a match from last year. And I saw it twice over because it was such a great match. So kind of hard
Thank you.
hitting, stiff, fantastic action, a great story, fantastic drama, and just four competitors that just that can go and just beat the living hell out of one another, and it was a great match. But do you have fond memories of that match in particular, especially with Charlie Evans not being over in the country as often as she
No.
used to be, but getting her and Millie together, yourself and Aluna on the other side of the ring, when the bell rang, that match was magic.
Thank you. Like, I really appreciate that. Like that's been my dream match for years. Like as soon as Medusa Complex were a thing, I used to just think, oh my God, they're the coolest people ever. And I genuinely think that Millie and Charlie are two of the best unsigned wrestlers in the world. Like the aggression and the intensity that they bring to every single match, like, the hard work that they both put in to be the best that they can be physically, it's unmatched. Like you just don't see that. And I love them both so much. They were both there for my first match outside my home promotion, which was like my 11th match. They're both there. And they both took the time afterwards to come and speak to me and, tell me that I did well. And, they really built up my confidence. And they didn't need to do that because they were both such big stars at the time that then they really just decided to take the time to just build up a young girl's confidence. And I'll never ever forget that because that's what I want to get to. I want to make sure that I pass that on. It's so easy to just sort of put people in a box of, oh, they're new, they're not going to be very good. I'm not bothered. I'm not going to bother with them. But Millie and Charlie, they really took the time to make me feel good about myself, and then getting to wrestle them all those years later. And I can't thank New Wave enough. Like, not to peel back the curtain too much, but Brendan White is honestly one of my best mates. He That man has done more for me than anyone will ever understand. And he messaged me saying, if I can make this match happen, I 100% will, because I know how much you want this match. I know how much you want to test yourself. And I was just so grateful. And me and Aluna, we had the best day. We were so nervous beforehand. We were so anxious. But everything went like it went better than I ever could have imagined. And getting to be in the ring with Millie and Chevs, incredible. One of the best days ever. Honestly, one of my favourite shows I've ever done. 100%.
Yeah, that match I believe is available on New Wave's YouTube channel, which is how I got to see it. So it's definitely there. Go and check it out. It's a fantastic match. Like I said, I watched it twice over. But the physicality and the story that you foretold in that match was fantastic. Now we've got Jim watching us live at home saying, "Hi, Lucia Lee. See you tomorrow night." So what could Jim
Yes.
possibly be alluding to there? And I think it's this here, and it's going to be your first title defense, if I'm not
My
mistaken, of your
It
newly won
is. It is my
championship
first
against Zoe
one.
Lucas, and it's a big show, the third anniversary of New Wave Wrestling. It's unbelievable that it's 3 years old,
I
celebrating its third
know.
anniversary already. But Friday the 21st, we see the third anniversary of New Wave, and we see Zoe Lucas taking on you for your championship. First of all, will this be your first match back from the recent injury that you suffered?
So it's kind of awkward what I did. I tore a ligament just above my collarbone when I won the title. So won the title. I took the next 2 weeks off, came back for 2 matches. I did Eve and then I did Rev Pro, and I was supposed to do Chaos. Unfortunately, I think I just pushed myself a little bit too soon with 2 matches in the one weekend. So I said to Chaos, I was like, I'm really sorry. I don't think that I'm going to give you the match that this show deserves. I don't feel 100% at the moment. I feel very banged up and I don't want to risk a long-term injury. And they were completely understanding about it. And Tia Jane got an amazing opportunity off the back of it. So I'm very, very happy for her. But this will be my first match back where I feel 100% in myself. Like I feel good. I'm back in the gym. Like I'm working out normally now. And even Rev Pro, I was kind of just fighting through the pain because there were just big matches that I didn't want to miss out on. Um, but yeah, I think this will be like the first one back where I feel like myself, if that makes sense.
And how are you feeling about the match? How are you feeling about the opponent? I don't know if you've ever worked Zoe before, but quite a strong competition, quite a strong challenger for your championship tomorrow. How are you feeling ahead of the match?
I'm so excited because I've grown up watching Zoe Lucas. I do I pay homage to Zoe Lucas in all of my matches. I do like the leg lariat in the corner. I literally call it the Zoe Lucas spin kick. It's so cool. I'm so happy that she's back. She's someone that everyone should look up to. She is just the embodiment of a fighter. And it's going to be an honor to actually be in the ring with her. She's someone that's so knowledgeable and so good. Like she's done it all. She's been to Japan, and she's been Rev Pro Women's Champion. She's just great, and she's a lovely person. Again, she's someone that I met when I was very young. I met her when I was 16, and she was so nice to me. And I'm just very, very glad that I get the opportunity to wrestle her.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm going to be bringing up a picture of yourself and Aluna here, and
Yeah.
Aluna is going to be popping up in conversation many, many times during the course of this interview. But the reason why I'm bringing up this picture is because you've teamed with Aluna a couple of times, and you've both made your Pro Wrestling Eve debut in 2025, and
Yeah.
I believe that you teamed with Aluna in a multi-team match at the beginning of the year. But first of all, Pro Wrestling Eve, was it always a goal of yours to get onto a Pro Wrestling Eve card? Because, like I say, you started
Yeah.
wrestling, what, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 6+ years ago, and to finally in 2025 make your Pro Wrestling Eve debut, that must be a pretty big deal for you.
Yeah, definitely. Like Eve's always been one of my favorite promotions to watch. Like I love Pro Wrestling Eve. Dan's great. Emily's great. Like it's such a nice atmosphere backstage as well. I've only ever done one other all women's promotion show. That was before lockdown. Um, so it was really cool to be in an all women's locker room again and be around some of like my favourite people as well. And yeah, we got to do Lou Wave on on the biggest stage for women's wrestling in Europe, and it was such a cool feeling. We got a message from Dan asking if we were free, asking if we wanted to do this tag team scramble, and we grabbed the opportunity. We were very excited, and yeah, it's I've been on every show since, which is all I can ask for. This is the biggest stage for women's wrestling, and I'm very, very grateful to be a part of it. Like, I know I keep saying how grateful I am, but it is just really nice that people are putting this sort of faith in me. Like, I'd never have expected it. Like look, 5 years ago, I never would have thought that I'd have made it to places like Eve and Rev Pro, and I know New Wave wasn't a thing, but a show of that caliber. So
Yeah.
it's very rewarding. Yeah.
And it was at Wrestle Queendom when you made your debut as one half of Lou Wave in this tag team scramble that you just mentioned. But the clip that really resonated with me was the entrance and the reaction of the fans. And when the music was going off and the two of you any nerves that you probably had behind the curtain, I'm guessing just disappeared straight away as soon as the fans got behind your music. The two of you kind of rocked it out, kind of doing your entrance. But and that looks like a ton of fun, and you must have felt right at home almost straight away.
Honestly, I'm the complete opposite. I'm very much a case of fake it till you make it because I was bricking it. Like I don't know how Aluna felt, but I was terrified. Like I there were like 500 plus in the crowd, and like it's not like a regular thing for me to wrestle in front of 500 plus people. Like this year it has been, which is really cool. Like I'm doing shows that are minimum 300 people now, and it's amazing. Like it's such a nice feeling to get to showcase myself on such big stages. But when you stood there and it's just two of you on an entranceway and you just see this like big sea of people, and you know that all the girls are watching in the locker room, and you know that you've got some of the biggest names in the world watching you. It's like, right,
Yeah.
do or die time. You can't mess this one up loose. Like, and yeah, I was so nervous. I was so nervous all the way through. It wasn't until I got to the back where I could actually like take a breath and breathe. Um, but yeah, at least it didn't show. At least I starred it out, like you say. That's
Yeah, no, it
crazy.
looked fantastic. You guys looked very
Thank
comfortable.
you.
You looked right at home, and it was a great match. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here and talk about another Eve show, and it's the Multiverse Rumble. And I've got this picture here to bring up of
Oh
yourself as Flash
yes,
Morgan Webster, and of course Aluna as Bronco himself, Brenda White. And of course, I've spoken to other guests over the years that have taken part in the Eve Multiverse Rumble. I had about a year ago, I had Nightshade because she was
oh
Lampshade and she won the 2024
amazing.
version. And I've spoke to various others, Martina and Lizzie, and they all dressed up as wonderful, weird and wonderful characters over the years. But tell us a little bit about your thought process and kind of the inspiration behind you being Flash Morgan Webster for the Multiverse Rumble and Aluna being Brenda White.
Oh, so we did Act Lou. That was our tag team debut together where we dressed up as Act Two. And we were just racking our brains and thinking, how can we top that? Because Act Lou, everyone loved it. Everyone loved it. Yeah. See? Like look at that. And oh, we made an amazing Act Lou as well. And oh, look at the boys. Look at the boys dressed as us. I hate that Benjamin Harlan looks better in my gear than I do. Um, but no, we were like racking our brains and thinking, what can we do that's going to top this? And we were like, right, we need to be Flash and Bronco. And she told Bronco that she was going to be him, and he like lent her the jacket and stuff. I didn't tell Flash that I was going to dress as him at all. So I had pretty much everything apart from the tights. So I just I put like all that stuff together. My dad's actually like into like mod culture and skinhead culture and stuff. So we already had the helmet. So I was like, right, I'm just gonna be Flash. And he messaged me after the tag that we had earlier in the night. And he's like, oh, is everything okay? How are you feeling? And I was like, yeah, it was great. One of my favorite matches that I've ever had, probably. And he was like, um, okay, that's good. And I was like, yeah, I've just got the multiverse rumble next. And he was like, oh, who are you gonna be? And I was like, Flash. You're gonna love this. And then I just didn't reply to him. And then it starts getting uploaded onto stories. And he just sends me a message going, fair play.
But at least he was a
It's
good
great.
sport about it. And I'll tell you what,
Oh yeah.
thanks to your dad, you looked incredible. So
I know.
the help be very authentic, and even the hairdo, the glasses, the polo neck t-shirt, everything very authentic. As for Luna, that swimming cap, I don't know whether that quite cuts the mustard, but no, fantastic. And you obviously went up against, was it Hard Up North, Lucy Sky and
Oh
Harley Hudson
yes.
earlier on in the day, and those two, wow, that they certainly give it. But one other match I want to talk about in an Eve ring was this one here, a match I know you're
Oh
very, very proud of against Miyu Yamashita. This happens quite recently. When did this happen? Was it early this month, about the 7th or the 8th of
yeah, it
March?
was. Yeah, the 7th. It was 2 weeks ago. Mm,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
some great action. Now, I understand that there's a bit of a story behind this match because I can't ever remember seeing you advertised for this match. Now, I understand kind of reading through your socials and kind of, just things that appear on your feed that this was almost an 11th hour call for Lucia Lee to take that spot. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so it was meant to be Miyu Yamashita versus Session Moth Martina. Unfortunately, on the day of the show, Session Moth became really unwell. Um, she basically messaged Dan and said, "I'm really sorry, I'm not going to be able to do the show today." Um, Dan looked at the card that he had, and he was like, "Right, I need to work out a new card." My original match was meant to be me, Rain Leverkusen, and Myla Grace versus Hard Up North and Sapphire. Um, which that was meant to be my first match back after like my injury. I was like, "Oh, okay, it's a 6-woman tag match. I can take it easier than I usually would. It's not just a singles match where I'm going to be, in the ring constantly. I'll have a nice little time to catch my breath. It'll be fine." Um, then we get a phone call. Literally 10 minutes before we get to the venue, I get a phone call from Dan Reed, and he's like, "Are you guys nearly there?" And it was me and one of the other girls on the show in the car, and he's like, whereabouts are you guys? How far away?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, we're only 10 minutes away from the venue. We'll be there soon." And he goes to me, "Okay, sounds good. By the way, you want to start watching some Miyu matches?" And I was like, "Me?" And he was like, "Yes, Lucy, you." And I was like, "Okay." So he didn't tell me that it was like 100%, but from that I gathered, right, it's gonna be me and Miyu tonight. And I'm just thinking, God, I wish that I was at 100%, but there's no way that I'm gonna turn this match down because it's such a good learning opportunity. And I was just thinking to myself, like, I don't care if both my arms fall off, like I'm gonna give absolutely everything that I've got. And I did. I absolutely emptied the tank in that match, and I'm very, very proud of it. I think
Yeah.
that the nerves got to me a little bit, mm, but I think that I would have actually been worse if I'd have known about it in advance, because I would have just hyper fixated. That's all I would have thought about. But having like those 10 minutes to prepare, it was like, right, okay, we've just got to do this. We've just got to, you've had matches, you've had however many matches before, you've had however many singles matches. It's just a match. It's a huge match on a huge stage with an amazing opponent, but you know how to wrestle. You've wrestled for 5, 6 years. You'll be okay. And I got to the venue and I spoke to Miyu, and then we had the match. And all I've heard is positive feedback from it. All I've heard is nice things. And she was lovely to me afterwards. She gave me amazing feedback, and I'm very, very grateful. And I can't thank Dan Reed enough and the producers enough, and for giving me that opportunity.
Absolutely. Going to bring up them pictures again because it was a hell of an occasion, a hell of a battle, and the two of you just beat the living hell out of one another, strike for
Yeah.
strike. But you, from everything I've seen, from everything I've read, 100% delivered and gained the respect of one of the best female wrestlers in the whole world. It's a bit of a backstage shot of the two of you. I'm guessing maybe before or after your match, one of the two, but a hell of an occasion. And I'll go on the record and say right here and now that I felt that was a bit of a star-making match for you, and in many people's eyes, getting that opportunity and having that match elevated you once again in many people's perceptions. But a real star-making match for you that day.
Thank you. Like Dan and the producers of Eve easily could have gone and said, right, I'm gonna do Miyu versus Millie, or Miyu versus Sapphire. People that are 100% going to deliver in those sorts of matches. And that easily could have been done, but he said no. I want to give Lucia the opportunity, and that means the world to me. Having someone think that I can hang in that situation, I really hope that I didn't let the guys down. From what I've heard from them, they've said that I haven't, and they really enjoyed it. The fans, that every like fan that I've heard from has said that they really enjoyed it as well. And I just think that, yeah, it's a lovely feeling to know that I didn't like absolutely like get on that big of a platform and not deliver. Like knowing that I actually managed to like smash expectations, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, from your debut back in January through to now, you've been on every single Eve show. Along,
Yeah.
may that continue. Obviously, making a great impression with the fans and the backstage team there, and the talent, of course. But over the years, I've really seen you grow and develop as a wrestler, as an overall performer, as an athlete, especially over the last couple of years. But do you remember when things kind of really started to click and to fall into place for you, and that eventually allowed you to get to the level you're on now? Do you remember when that kind of light switch went off, when that light bulb moment went off, and when things really started to make sense and click for you, Lucia?
Yeah, yeah. So at the end of 2023, start of 2024, I hated wrestling. I really, really didn't like wrestling at that time. I felt miserable. There was incidents where, I was kind of I wasn't treated the best at certain places, and certain people weren't really behind me. And it really pushed me to a point of like I just need to get away from wrestling for a bit. So I took off 3 months, and I came back and I had 3 matches that, like, in a very close succession, that really just made me think like this. It just reignited my passion, and those were me versus Lana Austin at Rev Pro, and me versus Brendan White at New Wave Midlands, and me versus Luca Romeo at No Mercy. Those 3 matches, that's such like a wide array of opponents. Like we had 3 completely different matches, and they all just meant so much to me that that's really when the gear change kicked in. I lost a lot of weight. I really started committing to training. Like I've always trained. I've never been someone that like takes bookings and doesn't train. But this was where I really like decided to take it up a gear and really like put some effort in and really start pushing myself, because I think that I was very comfortable for a while. I was very happy just kind of where I was. I just kind of accepted, oh, I'm never gonna get anywhere in wrestling. I'll just do it for fun. I'll just be a body that people can, just put on shows and stuff when needed. But after those matches, I was like, no, I really I wanna push for this now. And it's definitely paid off. Like it took a lot of grind, and it took a lot of like, just emotional exhaustion, and like constantly just battling with my own mind. Um, but I think that I'm finally reaping the rewards of that now.
Off the back of what you've just said, were you close to kind of stepping away?
Yeah, yeah. I had so um, my last match in 2023. Um, I like the match wasn't bad. It wasn't anything to do with my opponents. I was just so overwhelmed, and I hadn't taken any time off from wrestling since lockdown at that point. And I was just constantly just pushing and pushing and pushing, and I felt like I just hit a brick wall. And honestly, I just burst into tears like after my match, and I went outside. And luckily, Flash was on the same show, and we had a lovely, lovely conversation. I'll always be so grateful for him for this. Like he stood outside in the freezing cold in November, with me, just listening to me just cry and just comforting me. And he just said to me, he was like, "I think that you just need some time. I think that you just need some time to sort your head out more than anything." And it's the best advice I've ever been given, because those 3 months off, oh my God, it changed everything for me. And it allowed me to gain perspective and heal from things that I didn't even think had affected me, as much as they had within wrestling. I started wrestling when I was 16, so
Yeah.
you can imagine that, like, you you're basically coming into an adult's industry as a child and trying to grow up before your time. And I did that, and yeah, it really caught up to me on that day, and I just remember feeling so overwhelmed, and I was like, I'm not coming back. I'm done. I can't be bothered anymore. Thankfully, Flash took the time to, like, not every coach will do that, and it's not even a case of like, oh, that's what he's paid to do. No, he's paid to teach me how to wrestle. He's not paid to be a good person and be my friend, but he does that as well. Honestly, like I've never known support like I've had off him and Bronco. They're just the best two people. And the reason that New Waves took off so much is because of the sheer dedication that those guys have, and Mark as well. Like I haven't really had any interactions with Mark really, but Bronco and Flash, they will go above and beyond for you. And yeah, I was just so close to just walking away. I was just done, like mentally. But thankfully, like I came back, and me and Flash, we had like a plan. We were like, let's just try and have as much fun as possible, and then let's see where you end up. And obviously, it's paid off.
Yeah, great advice, great advice. And let's bring us back to more modern times. Now, when I introduced you, I introduced
Yes.
you as freak to the core, the Don, the baddest, cult classic caliber, Lucia Lee. Give us a bit of insight into the origins of that introduction, that nickname, moniker, those nicknames, those monikers. Because I remember when I interviewed you 5 years ago, you were the descending angel. Now things have kind of come a long way since then, but you've also gained quite a few extra nicknames, all of which fit your personality, your character, your energy, your attitude absolutely perfectly, 100%. But tell us a bit about the origin of some of those and how they've kind of culminated into this perfect entrance and persona of the 2025 Lucia Lee.
Yeah, so I think that like back then, the Descending Angel was something that was just given to me because I liked the band Misfits when I was in my little emo phase. Like I was proper like little emo 17-year-old. Like come out to like either Bring Me the Horizon or Misfits, and I wore like, I still have black hair, but I was really pale and had like the black gear and stuff. And at the time it worked, but that's never really been who I am. Like, I'm very much into, you know, I'm into like different things really, and my upbringing, and I'm a very working class person. I come from a very working class town, um, and I wanted to sort of incorporate that a little bit more than just trying to be like. Basically, I was just trying to be Paige when I was younger, and it worked. It worked for a while, but I just felt like I was being someone else, and I wanted to take more elements of my own personality. And I'm proper gobby. I'm proper mouthy. Um, I don't take myself too seriously. When I changed my entrance music, I started coming out to Magic Stick by Lil Kim and 50 Cent. And there's like the starting like line is I'm a freak to the core. And I was like, that sounds great. I'm robbing that. Stolen. The Don the Baddest. That's like one thing to say. It's like the Don the Baddest. Like it's like one sort of like nickname. And no one kind of gets that. Like people will call me like, I'm not just robbing Trent Seven stuff. I don't know where that came from. I think I said it once in a promo when I was just like firing off stuff because I was just being like proper like mouthy and like just aggy. I just remember going, Lucia Lee, the Don, the Baddit, and I was just like proper getting into it. And I was like, oh, that actually sounded really good. So then I was like, right, yeah, I'm gonna take that as well. And then the cult classic caliber. That's like a little nod to my Kill Bill the my Kill Bill days and
Yeah.
my gear and stuff when I had like my Bruce Lee moment. Which I don't really wear that gear anymore, but I still kept my yellow and black, and it's just a nice little nod to that. Like I'm very much like still do a lot of stuff like pop culture references and stuff like that. So I think it all kind of ties together, and it all just kind of adds up, I guess. All of it together, it's just very me. And I feel like I've very much found myself now, rather than just trying to like take bits of other people. As oh, I'll be a little bit like Paige today, and I'll be a little bit like AJ Lee. And now it's like no, I've found myself as a performer. And
Yeah.
once you start like once you have that confidence about yourself and you actually believe the things that you're saying, that's where it really kicks up a notch, and that's where people start taking notice, I think.
Yeah, it totally works as well. And as you quite rightly said, it's you all day long, and nobody
Yeah.
can mistake it. And it really does demonstrate your persona, your attitude as you walk into the ring. You even kind of mouthing those nicknames along with the ring announcer, and it just
Yeah.
totally works. And it really sets the scene, and it also sets you apart from everybody else because nobody else has four nicknames. But those four nicknames, as you said, in a total package, totally and utterly work, and I think that works brilliantly for you. So good on you for kind of coming up with all of that. It totally works. I'm going to bring up some pictures, and here we go.
Oh,
So we've
okay.
spoken about your entrance, and you do look absolutely incredible on some of these entrances. The attitude, the gear. everything is going off. But I also want to talk to you about your kind of your in-ring moves now, your in-ring ability, because from when I first started watching your matches through till now, I've seen this evolution of Lucia Lee, and everything just okay, we don't want New Wave West Midlands up again, but everything just seems to work, from your strikes to everything you do in the ring. It's super smooth, and you know, everything means something. Everything, you know, it looks legit. Your
Thank
in-ring
you.
work is just so smooth and credible, is the word I was searching for there. But tell us a little bit about where this kind of growth and development has come from in your in-ring work. Has it been mostly since you've been working with New Wave West Midlands? And obviously you've probably noticed in yourself that as an in-ring performer, you've definitely come a long way. But tell us a little bit about that evolution to the point where we've got Lucia Lee of 2025 being a fantastic worker in the ring.
Um, Genuinely, I think that it's come from just confidence, being confident enough to try new things. Like, I think I was very set in my ways before, but I love my kind of wrestling is like strong style wrestling. Like, I think like old school Ring of Honor or Pete Dunne, you know, that's my kind of thing. And that's what I like. I like to see like gritty, hard hitting wrestling,
Mm.
and that's always what I wanted to do. And I think that it's something that I'm good at. You know, I've got no like legit martial arts training or anything like that. Just learn how to hit people really, really hard. And it's something that I just work on and work on and work on. And luckily wrestling people like Miu, um, Lana, Lizzie, Rio, you know, like proper hard hitters, people that aren't afraid to put their stuff in and make it look as legitimate as possible. That's really helped me because I've taken that and I've seen that and I've gone, okay, this is what I want to be doing. This is what I've seen and this is what I want to imitate. And that's why I enjoy wrestling those sorts of girls more than anything else, because I know that they're gonna hit me and I'm gonna hit back. And that's just the wrestling that I love. I'm not huge on like I don't wanna I don't wanna, you know, talk bad on anyone, but I don't like wrestling that doesn't look real. I like
Yeah.
wrestling where, you know, it looks gritty, it looks nasty. You have to sort of like question, like, oh my god, like did they actually just like hit them? And it's like that's always been the wrestling that's spoken to me more than anything. That's what I've always wanted to imitate, and I think that it's just having the confidence now to apply that to my in ring style.
Yeah, and that realism in your work, and like I say, with your strikes and just your movement around the ring, super smooth. And I described you in the promotional video that I filmed in the lead up to this as one of the most improved wrestlers in the UK in the last few
Thank
years,
you.
and I honestly believe that. And I think certainly being under the tutelage of Flash and the guys at New Wave West Midlands, I'm sure that many others would agree as well. But I did bring up this picture a little bit prematurely early, and this was obviously the New Wave West Midlands guys, probably a shot from maybe a year or so there. And there you are on the ring apron. And of course, the more recent one there with Pete Dunne. But it really does shoot
Oh,
off kind of like family vibes, that group. And same for New Wave wrestling over in South Wales, over in Cardiff.
yeah.
And of course, the group based in West Midlands. But the New Wave kind of brand and umbrella in both of those units, it really does kind of give off really strong kind of family vibes, and that you all look after one another and grow with one another, develop with one another. And they really are doing something special in those two training schools, aren't they?
100%. Like I've never known like I've trained at other schools and I've visited other schools, but I've never known an atmosphere like New Wave. We're all pushing each other, we're all trying to get better, we're all supporting each other. Like particularly people like Actu, like to Doris, um, you know, like they want the best for all of us. And just having them around, it's so nice. And like it's not even just the training's incredible and Flash is the best. I love him to pieces,
Yeah.
but it's you've got your best mates pushing you as well. And I recommend New Wave to everyone. Like I think if you're serious about professional wrestling, you need to be at New Wave. You need to be at either Newport, Cardiff, or West Midlands, because that is just where it is at the minute. That's just where the proper wrestlers are coming from. Like you look at look at Leon Cage, for example. Like I watched Leon Cage on Rev Pro on Sunday, and the change that I've seen in that lad, like I saw him years ago when he was just a little baby. He's still a little baby now, but the improvement and the success that he's had under the New Wave brand, because he's very, very talented. He's so naturally talented, but they've taken that natural talent and they've gone, right, let's make you a star. And he's put the graft in, he's got in great shape, he's always working. And I just think that, New Wave has done that. That New Wave brand has just skyrocketed that kid, and he deserves it. He deserves every single shred of success that he's got. And that's the sort of thing that, Bronco and Flash want for us. They want to make us as good as possible. And we have fun while we do it as well. Like, it's not a case of like you get in here and do 500 squats. It's like, no, we're gonna have fun. Like, we had like a sports day last year that was so much fun. We were in 3 different teams, and it was like we were all competing against each other, and it was so fun. It was like, oh my god, we had the best day ever. Then we had like a little party afterwards, which was lovely.
See,
It
that's
was
what you
just
want, isn't
nice.
it? That's what you want. It's
Yeah.
fun, you hear certainly more historic cases, but not so much nowadays, of wrestling schools being very regimental and very strict and not so much fun. And who did they ever develop? You go to a fun, friendly, family-based kind of wrestling school where everybody looks after one another, and you
Yeah.
do get the most out of everything, and you develop the performers, and you look at the talent that New Wave Cardiff and New Wave Westmorelands have developed and brought out onto the scene over the last few years, and that would kind of speak volumes all day long.
Yeah, 100%. Like, even people that haven't started there necessarily,
Yeah,
it's the difference that you see between people before they're at New Wave and after they're at New Wave. And, it comes down to the training, it comes down to the atmosphere, and it just comes down to just being around the right people and people that care about you and want the best for you. And we're very, very lucky to have 3 different New Wave schools at the minute, where you can go to any of them, and you can improve tenfold, if you put the work in.
yeah, 1,000%. I'm going to bring up this picture here, and I
Yeah.
stole this from your socials.
Ah.
But this would probably be maybe 5 or 6 years between these photos. There you are on the left-hand side. I mentioned the Descending Angel nickname from when you were first on the show back in 2020. And
Oh,
there you are, kind of on the left-hand side, but holding maybe a CPW title of one description or another. And then on the
yeah.
right-hand side, being the brand new champion, the women's champion of New Wave Wrestling at all. And when you look at those two pictures, Lucia, what's your kind of first reaction? What's the first thing that goes through your mind?
It oh man, it's bittersweet, honestly, because I think, I was probably either 16 or 17 there, and I just
Yeah,
think I was such a little baby. Like, in all honesty, I don't think I should have been wrestling before I was 18, because it wasn't the nicest atmosphere, um, pre-COVID and stuff. And I just think that, I went through a lot when I was that age, like particularly with things with like body image. And I just remember feeling like that I'd never be good enough, and that no matter what I did, I'd never get anywhere. And I just felt so stuck. And all I knew is that I loved wrestling more than anything else. I just wanted to wrestle. And, you know, the change from how unhappy I was when I was 16, 17, to the person that I've grown into now,
yeah,
and, how much I love wrestling now, and how much I love that I get to wrestle pretty much every weekend, with a lot of my best friends. It's such a nice feeling, and I just wish that I could go back and tell her, like, "It's fine. I know that you're upset now, and I know that things aren't amazing, but just keep pushing and stop getting disheartened, because it is coming and it will come eventually. You just have to work for it." And Yeah, like it's so nice to see that picture because that's where I've come from. Like that'll always be me. That was in Coventry.
Yeah,
I was the Cov Pro Women's Champion. I won that in like my 11th, 12th match, maybe. Like I knew I
that's
was
crazy.
definitely less than 20 matches in.
Yeah.
And I'm always very grateful for Cov Pro. That's where I started. We fell out for a while. We had difference of opinions on stuff. But that they did give me my start, and I'll always be very, very grateful for that. They looked after me. They looked after me to the best of their ability, and yeah, I always just wanted the world, and I think now I'm sort of pushing myself until I get there more than anything. And yeah, it's nice to see where you've come from. It's nice to look back and remember the good and the bad.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll agree that British wrestling in 2025 and certainly over the last couple of years, 23, 24, and into this year, is as good as it's ever been.
Yeah.
And I think that it is probably a better locker room than it's ever been as well. And I think British wrestling is probably in the best state and probably the best condition and the best hands it's ever been in, possibly ever.
Yeah, yeah. When you look at like the locker room leaders now, you've got like Leon Slater, Doris, Rio, um, Lizzie, people like that, and people that
Yeah,
genuinely love wrestling, and they're not trying to hold anyone back. Doris said to me, I want to say about maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, we can all succeed. It's not a case of like, oh, only one person's ever going to get signed out the UK ever again. He's like, no, we can all succeed. If we're all willing to put the work in, there's no reason that we can't all get there. It's just the graft. It's just you've got to be willing to graft, and that really changed my perspective. Like I owe a lot to Doris. He'll always tell me straight. He'll always, it'll be very, very harsh. He'll be brutally honest with me, but sometimes I need to hear it. And he's always done that for me. He's a lovely, lovely, lovely guy. I'm so happy for him because he deserves every shred of success that he has. Like, I think Doris is the best wrestler in the UK. I don't know anyone
yeah,
else that can connect with every type of fan the way that Doris can, no matter what show he's on. Like people love him because he's just great and he's just a likable person. And yeah, when he said to me, "We can all succeed," that has always stuck with me because we all can. Every single one of us can succeed. We might not all end up in WWE. That doesn't mean that we're not successful. And
yeah.
that changed my perspective on wrestling. It really did. And I'm very,
Yeah,
very,
I love
very
that
glad that I heard
mentality.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, love that mentality. And another highlight from your 2024 would have been debuting for Rev Pro. Another fantastic milestone, accomplishment, achievement for yourself. Tell us a little bit about your Rev Pro experience because you've had a good handful of matches, occasionally teaming once again with Aluna. And I've got some pictures to bring up, but of course, one of your earlier matches was against the Cutthroat Collective. You've had a number of matches
Yeah.
against that group and some of the best female wrestlers in the UK and
Yeah.
definitely further afield. But you've had some of your biggest opportunities, some of your biggest moments and matches in the Rev Pro ring in 2024 and in 2025. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I originally, me and Aluna actually debuted for Rev Pro in 2022.
Wow.
I had a match against Mercedes Blaze in the 229 in October 2022. I wrestled Danny Luna for the Queen of Southside Championship in December 2022. And after that match, I go backstage, I speak to Andy, and Andy goes to me, I like you. You've got something about you. You're just not ready yet. Um, you will be back. Go off, train, learn, wrestle as much as you can, and you'll be back. And he promised me, he's like, I'm not giving you lip service. If I didn't like you, I just wouldn't have you back. And then I saw him again in March 2024. And I was just hanging out at the Coventry show. And he was like, right, I can see that you've lost a lot of weight. You've really put in some work in. Let's see where we go from here. And he spoke to me about contending. And there's never been a female contender before. And instantly, as soon as he said, "Yeah, maybe we could have you as like a female contender," I was like, "Yes." please, please have me as like a female contender because one, it's never been done before. It's something completely different. And two, I want to learn. I want to learn from the very, very best. And you don't get higher than Rev Pro really.
Yeah.
Um in Europe particularly, like that's like the pinnacle of British wrestling. And I just wanted to learn, and I want to wrestle all the girls in the division because they're incredible. And Andy made it happen, and I'll always be dead grateful for him. So I came back on, I want to say it was April last year in Sheffield against Nightshade, and then I've just been on pretty frequently ever since, and I've learned so much, so much. Like my match with Rio, um, tagging with Kanji and Rio. I've got to wrestle like Nina and Sapphire and Lizzie and Alex Windsor as well. Like, oh, it's incredible. Like I've done so much. I'm so grateful. And even when I'm not wrestling, I get to be ringside and I get to watch these incredible matches up close and personal. I get to listen to the guys backstage going over stuff, and it's such a cool thing to be able to do, and especially like when no other girls have really done it before. Like I'd rather put that work in. I'd rather prove myself to Andy and the Rev Pro fans and even the roster. Like I want to prove myself that I will put this work in so that I can show that I deserve to be on this show with you guys. And yeah, I think I'm doing a pretty good job. I like contending. I like being there. I like just being around. It's nice.
Absolutely. And this match here in particular, your match against Kanji from earlier this month. Now, March was a busy month for you, Lucia. And like I say,
Yeah.
your match against Kanji, I know it was another bucket list match for you. You've teamed with Kanji before, but I don't think you've possibly worked against her one-on-one. But I mean, this match in the Rev Pro ring, that was another pretty special match for you because you had Miyu Yamashita, like I say, for Pro Wrestling Eve, and then maybe the following day against Kanji. So a busy weekend for you. But this
Yeah.
match against Kanji, I know that meant a lot to you also, didn't it?
Kanji's just the loveliest person, and she's another one that's like a locker room leader that wants the best for
Yeah.
everyone. She wants to bring people up, and in that match, she's like, I want to elevate you. I want to try and impart any knowledge that I have on you. And I really feel like we did that. I was beaten up and I was so sore because obviously I had me like two days before, but we still put a shift in, and doing that in Coventry as well. So I'd
Your
only
hometown.
wrestled exactly, yeah, I'd only wrestled in that venue once before, and that was for Wrestle Carnival in 2022. I ended up with a concussion, and the match ended early because I did like a suicide dive and I got stuck on the ropes. And I ended up like cracking my head off the floor in front of my parents and my little brother as well. So I kind of got a little bit of redemption in that venue, which is all I've ever wanted. And I got to do it for Rev Pro with Kanji, so you can't ask for much more than that, really.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I want to talk a bit more about Aluna because we spoke about her earlier. I've got some more fun
Yeah.
pictures to bring up. Let's bring up the pictures here. We obviously had the picture of yourself as Flash. Aluna
I
has
love that.
Brendan there, and Act Lou for Wet Cake Pro. And we spoke to Aluna about that when she was on the show last year. And of course, this was the photo before your Pro Wrestling Eve debut earlier on in the year. But Aluna,
Yeah.
I think certainly in the last year or so, the two of you have been intertwined in each other's journey, intertwined in each other's career. You've faced each other on opposite side of the rings once or twice, but you've teamed up a hell of a lot for various promotions. You've got this real connection, this real bond between the two of you, and I think you've helped to kind of maybe push one another to that next level. But tell us a little bit about your relationship, your connection you've got with Aluna, because for my money, she's another one of these that's just bubbling under the surface. But you watch any of her matches, she's got either the best babyface fire or kind of the worst kind of heel vibes you're ever likely to see. She can really switch it up either way. But I love watching Aluna work. She's one of my favorite performers. What about yourself?
Mm. I love her. I love her to pieces. We met in 2022. We had a match at Black Country Championship Wrestling, and she was so new then. And we had a match. And it was so fun. Like it was so nice. I don't know if I've ever seen the footage from it. us taking a photo afterwards, and we just got on instantly. Like, we just clicked, and, you know, we're such different people. You know, we're from very different places. We live nowhere near each other. We're very different personality-wise. You know, she's the sweetest person you'll ever meet, and I'm not. I'll never claim to be. But when we're together, it just works. And so originally we got put together at Wet Cake Pro, Sacrifice Pro, for the Act 2 match. Then
So was that the first time you teamed then? When you were
yeah, yeah,
Axe Lou? Oh, I didn't
yeah,
realise.
yeah, yeah. So that was the first time we teamed up. Um, then God, then where was it? Then I think people saw the pictures of that match, and they would just assumed that we were a tag team. Like, that was meant to be like a one-off, more than anything. So then we did Rev Pro, then we did New Wave, um, and yeah, now we're doing even stuff, and it's like, oh, this is amazing. Like, you'd never have put us together. You would never in a million years have put us two together, but it just works.
It
We
totally
make
works.
it work. We have so much fun together, and she's so silly and funny. And she's just the sweetest person you'll ever meet, honestly. And I think that we bounce off each other in that way. And she's so chill as well. Like, when we were trying to come up with music for Eve, she just goes, pick whatever you want. I'll be happy with anything. And I was like, cool. She's like, oh, in matches, yeah, I'll do whatever you want. It's cool. I'm like, you're so nice and lovely, and you make my life easy. And I love tagging with her. And I wanna tag with her more. I hope that there's some matches that I really want us to do together. Like, really, I want us to wrestle more guys. I want us to scrap with the boys. And I hope we get to do that some more later this year when she's back. When she's back
It's
on
got to happen.
shows.
It's got to happen. But yeah, I love the two of you together. But yeah, and I'm sure you know, but when she's a babyface, and she isn't a babyface in many places now, but when she's a babyface, she signs her entrance music to the ring, and I think that's
Oh,
really
I
really cool.
know.
She once cut a promo verbally, and then she cut a promo again in sign language for her
Yeah.
hard of hearing and deaf fans, and I think that's just the sweetest thing in the whole world. She
She's
really is
she's
cool.
just Yeah, she's just the loveliest person. Like, I literally, I can't say I don't know anyone that doesn't like her. I don't know anyone that would ever have a bad word to say about her. And if they did, I wouldn't trust them because they've got terrible judgment, honestly.
I'll tell you what, though, she's a nasty heel. She's a nasty bad
Oh,
person,
she's a
nasty villain.
bitch,
She
and I
really
love
is. She
it.
really is. All right, a few more things before we wrap up. And
Hmm.
like I say, you've got a busy few weeks, so maybe a few months coming up. I'm going to flash up some match graphics of places where you're going to be. And of course, this one here for TNT Ignition, their level up show, you're going to be part of
Yeah.
their women's briefcase scramble on the 29th. And then, of course, into April. And Monumental for North. You can be part of that. Is that a tag match or is that a four way? It's not clear by the
Oh,
graphic.
that is a tag match, and I'm very excited. Oh,
Tell us
me
a
and
bit about
Emma's
that.
and Jane. I am so excited for this one. Like, I've wrestled Rio quite a few times now, and I've had a great time every single time. For Emazin Jane, oh my god, I'm so excited to wrestle Emazin. She is the coolest person. Like, she's the best. Like, we always have a good time when I see her, and I see her at all the North shows. And you know, she's everywhere. Like, I'm always bumping into her. Like, sometimes she'll just be randomly at New Wave, or she'll be just around, and I love her. I love her to pieces. I'm so excited for this match. We are gonna kick the shit out of each other, and we've got like we're gonna do some crazy stuff. We are gonna do some mental stuff. I can't
Going to be a
wait.
great match. And then
Oh yeah,
there's a couple of shows coming up for Evolution. You've got a match coming
yeah.
up, Embrace the Dark Side against Violet Knight. And then EVW's first ever women's show where you've got Nina Samuels. So some big matches to look forward to there, Lucy. Like I say, 2025 has already kicked off in amazing fashion, and so much to look forward to as well.
Yeah, honestly, like, that singles match with Nina is going to be awesome because we've never wrestled one on one. We've had tag matches, but we've never wrestled in a singles match, and I'm very very excited for it because I think it's going to be very very good. We've like every time we've wrestled in a tag match, I feel like we kind of gel really well. So having that singles match will be a lot of fun. I love how she wrestles. I love like, 'cause she's so graceful and elegant, but she will kick your head in.
Oh
and
yeah.
she will absolutely live you. And I just think like that's the perfect blend of like art and fighting. And that's what professional wrestling is. I think that she is just the perfect all rounder, and I'm so excited for that match. It's going to be,
Yeah.
oh, it's going to be mint.
One of the best pros in the business, regardless of gender, and
Yeah.
anywhere in the world. I kind of put her right up there with anybody in the world. And of course, we've got this to look forward to tomorrow, the third anniversary of New Wave, and your championship defense against Zoe Lucas. But I'm going to bring up a little ticker to scroll along the bottom. And what I want you to do, Lucia, is tell us where we can reach out, say hi, learn more about Lucia Lee, and just generally get in touch and have a chat, or just to see some of your pictures, some of your footage, some of your
Oh,
posts. But I've got your Instagram and your X
yes.
scrolling along the bottom, so tell us all about it.
Below it'll be _Lucia Lee on Instagram and X/Twitter. I've got my Patreon down there as well. If you
You
want
do.
exclusive content, that'll be behind a paywall. And please give me money. Um, That's all I've really got to say on that. I've got a YouTube channel that I barely use. I don't really use TikTok. Is there anywhere? I'm trying to think. Is there anywhere else that you can find me? Oh, I've got Facebook that I don't really use either, but that's Lucia Lee, and you'll know which one's me because I'm in the profile picture. So just have a little search on that if you only use Facebook.
There we go. There we go. But I decided to put your main ones up there: your Patreon, your X, your Instagram, because I know those are the ones that you commonly use. But
Yes.
Lucia Lee, it's been nearly 5 years since you were last on the show. We must not leave it so long next
No,
time. But you've been a wonderful
definitely.
guest for episode 381. But if you've got any parting words, any final words to sign us off
Oh,
this episode of Wrestling with Johners, for anybody that's seen this live, or maybe might be streaming it a couple of days later, might be kind of learning about you for the first time, any friends, families, or foes, any words from Lucia Lee to sign us off?
oh my God, you put me on the spot. Let me have a think. Um, I'm just trying. I'm just trying my best. So it is. Just trying my best. Try my best, and you'll see that. You'll see it. It reflects. I reflect that energy of putting the graft in. Graft all day long. That's my parting words.
But you're absolutely smashing it out of the park. And like I said, I've been nothing but impressed over the last couple of
Thank
years. Certainly
you.
2024 and this year in particular has been stellar years. I can't wait to see what the rest of 2025 has in store for Lucia Lee, and what the future has in store for you. Many more championships, many more great moments and opponents. But Lucia Lee, thank you so much for being a wonderful guest. And we'll have to do it kind of much sooner than 5 years next time. But thank
Yes,
you so much for being a wonderful
definitely.
guest. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. See you soon.
Take care.